South China Sea, the diplomatic push for peace and security. Good evening. A peaceful and secure South China Sea remains a paramount goal for nations across the Indo-Pacific, but achieving it requires more than just goodwill. In a recent, wide-ranging discussion, Philippine Foreign Affairs Undersecretary for Bilateral Relations and ASEAN Affairs, Terresa Lazaro, detailed Manila's multifaceted strategy to navigate the complex territorial disputes in the region. The approach, she explained, is anchored in diplomacy, international law, and strategic alliances, painting a clear picture of a nation determined to uphold its sovereign rights through peaceful and principled means. Tonight, we delve into the key pillars of this strategy, beginning with the ambitious timeline set for a long-awaited regional agreement. A new deadline is on the horizon for one of the most critical diplomatic undertakings in Southeast Asia, the Code of Conduct, or COC, for the South China Sea. ASEAN foreign ministers have collectively set a target to finalize this crucial document with China by the year 2026. This three-year timeline represents a renewed political will among the 10-member bloc to establish a substantive framework for managing interactions and preventing conflicts in the contested waters. Undersecretary Lazaro expressed a sense of cautious optimism about this goal. She highlighted that the Philippines, slated to assume the ASEAN chairmanship in 2026, sees a significant opportunity to spearhead progress. The focus, she stated, will be on establishing effective guardrails, clear rules and mechanisms designed to de-escalate tensions and manage disputes before they can spiral into open conflict. This proactive stance signals Manila's intent to leverage its leadership role within ASEAN to make tangible strides toward a more predictable and stable maritime environment. The 2026 deadline, therefore, is not merely a date on a calendar. It is a political commitment and a benchmark against which the region's dedication to a rules-based order will be measured. However, for the Philippines and many of its regional partners, the true measure of the Code of Conduct's success will lie not in its timely completion, but in its legal weight. Undersecretary Lazaro drew a firm distinction between the proposed COC and its predecessor, the 2002 Declaration on the Conduct of Parties, or DOC. The DOC, while a landmark achievement in its time, has proven to be insufficient in curbing aggressive actions and preventing violations of international law, largely because it is a non-binding political statement. Learning from this two-decade-long experience, the Philippines staunchly maintains that the final COC must be a legally binding instrument. This is a non-negotiable point for Manila. A binding code would transform the framework from a set of gentle suggestions into a series of enforceable obligations, compelling all signatories, including China, to adhere to its provisions under the penalty of international law. According to Lazaro, anything less would fail to provide the genuine stability and security that the region so desperately needs. A legally binding COC, she argued, is the only way to ensure that the rights of all nations are respected and that the South China Sea becomes a domain of cooperation rather than a theater of confrontation. This insistence on legal enforceability underscores a fundamental principle of Philippine foreign policy, that enduring peace can only be built on a foundation of clear, respected, and enforceable rules. Central to the Philippines' legal and diplomatic arsenal is the 2016 Arbitral Award, handed down by the Permanent Court of Arbitration in The Hague. The ruling unequivocally invalidated China's expansive 9-line claim and affirmed the Philippines' sovereign rights within its exclusive economic zone. While this was a landmark legal victory for Manila, securing a unified, vocal endorsement from the entirety of ASEAN has been a challenge, given the diverse interests and relationships each member state has with Beijing. Despite this, Undersecretary Lazaro revealed that the award's influence is far from diminished. She noted that a significant number of like-minded countries within ASEAN quietly but firmly support the ruling. These nations, she explained, actively integrate the award's findings into their bilateral discussions and policy formulations, treating it as a legitimate and authoritative interpretation of international maritime law. More broadly, Lazaro emphasized that the 2016 award continues to be a major reference point in numerous international fora, from the United Nations to various regional security dialogues. Its principles are consistently invoked to reinforce the importance of UNCLOS, the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea, as the constitution for the oceans. For the Philippines, the award is not just a historical victory. It is a living, breathing component of its diplomatic strategy, a constant and powerful reminder that international law stands on its side. At the very heart of the Philippines' approach to foreign policy is a profound belief in the power of the rule of law. Undersecretary Lazaro articulated this principle with conviction, describing it as the great equalizer in international relations. In a world where disparities in economic power and military might are stark realities, international law, she asserted, provides a level playing field. It ensures that the sovereign rights and territorial integrity of all nations, regardless of their size or strength, are protected and respected. This principle is particularly resonant for countries like the Philippines, which face challenges from larger, more powerful neighbors. By consistently championing a rules-based international order, Manila frames the South China Sea dispute not as a test of brute force, but as a matter of legal principle. Lazaro concluded with a powerful statement on the nature of righteousness in statecraft. Rightness, she argued, is not achieved through might, but by adhering to what is correct and just under the established laws that govern the global community. This philosophical underpinning guides every diplomatic maneuver, legal argument, and strategic decision made by the Philippines on the world stage. While diplomacy and law form the primary lines of effort, the Philippines also acknowledges the pragmatic realities of national security. Undersecretary Lazaro reaffirmed the enduring value of the nation's long-standing alliance with the United States, anchored by the Mutual Defense Treaty. This treaty remains a cornerstone of Philippine defense posture, providing a critical security guarantee. However, she also made it clear that Manila's strategy is not solely dependent on this single alliance. The Philippines is actively working to bolster its own defense capabilities and enhance its security partnerships. This involves the robust implementation of agreements like the Visiting Forces Agreement VFA, which facilitates joint military exercises and enhances interoperability with allied forces. Furthermore, the strategy includes a focus on modernizing the armed forces of the Philippines through equipment sharing and acquisition programs. This dual approach, strengthening foundational alliances while simultaneously building up self-reliant defense capabilities, ensures that the nation's interests are protected through a comprehensive and resilient security architecture, ready to safeguard its sovereignty and its people. In summary, the Philippines is pursuing a clear-eyed and principled path forward in the South China Sea by pushing for a legally binding code of conduct, consistently upholding the 2016 Arbitral Award, championing the rule of law as the ultimate equalizer, and reinforcing its security alliances and defense capabilities. Manila is sending an unambiguous message: peace and stability in the region must be built on a foundation of mutual respect, international law, and a shared commitment to a rules-based order. That's all for this report. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to follow, like, comment, and subscribe for more information.